Whatever one makes of intelligent design, one of the dominant debates of the day, whatever one makes of intelligent design as a scientific theory, there is a version of it which I find almost inescapable. Let me explain. During the last 25 years, there have been groups of people, mostly Christians, but some non-Christians amongst them as well, who point to what they call irreducible complexity. That is, structures in the human being that are so complex that it is statistically impossible to imagine how they could have come to be by chance or chance mutation or mere selection of the fittest or any of the standard appeals that are made in traditional Darwinism. This irreducible complexity demands that you postulate a designer. Now, there are some non-believers who argue that point. And of course, there are many Christians who argue that point. Then some argue back, many unbelievers and believers, yes, but that might simply mean that we don't know enough about the mechanisms. If you start filling God in wherever we don't have an explanation, then you're putting God into the gaps of our ignorance. But as we learn more, then the gaps get filled up and God gets smaller. We don't need a God of the gaps. And so the debate continues. But whatever you make of that debate, it's interesting, and the literature is already voluminous. What I find interesting is that many writers who are not Christians in any sense by their own declaration sometimes speak of their marvel almost to the level of what I would call worship at the unimaginable complexity and splendor and glory of the universe. There's a fascinating book by Frank Rees, Rees without an E at the end, R-E-E-S, who titles his volume, Just 6 Numbers. The deep forces that shape the universe. These numbers are bound up with physical realities such that if the realities that these numbers describe were just a little higher in number or just a little lower in number, the universe as we know it couldn't exist. Just exactly the right distance between one particle and another particle at the subatomic level. Just 6 numbers. How did that happen? Or others describe the astonishing complexity of the eyeball. And although they may be completely philosophical materialists in their orientation, they are so impressed by the complexity and glory of it all that they almost begin to treat nature as a god. I would want to say from a Christian point of view that their instincts are jolly good. Except that there is a God who has disclosed himself in the glory of what we call nature. I'm not sure that it's right to argue from the complexity and glory of the 6 numbers or the woodpecker's tail feathers or the eyeball that you can infer in some demonstrable, powerful way that God exists. I don't think that at the end of the day, God is the end of the argument, the conclusion at the end. But if you begin with this God, the testimony to his greatness in what we see all around us is heart-stopping. It's mind-boggling.